This is one of those films that everybody seems to think is brilliant, but I just don't. Tar. So, Tar is written and directed by Todd Field, and according to IMDb, this is a plot for the film. Set in the international world of Western classical music, the film centers on Lydia Tarr, played by Cate Blanchett in the movie, widely considered one of the greatest living composers, conductors, and the very first female director of a major German orchestra. And that's basically all you need to know about Tar. That's the setup for the film according to IMDb. And honestly, I did not like this film at all. I found it a self-indulgent slog. I almost fell asleep 3 times while I was watching this movie yesterday. Granted, I was tired going to the cinema, but I've been tired going to the cinema in the past, and the film's woken me up. Often when I'm going into a cinema and I'm tired, the film has woken me up. I mean, there's a couple of instances like Tar when it hasn't, it's made me feel more tired, but it usually doesn't. Usually I go to the cinema to wake up when I'm feeling tired or low, but yesterday I almost fell asleep 3 times. In fact, there was one instance when I closed my eyes, I was like, oh my god, I just can't take it anymore. It's such a slog, because it just goes on and on and on, and it's almost 3 hours. And by the end of 3 hours, I literally couldn't wait to get out the cinema. I was like, thank God that film is over. And I should say here, because this film has been nominated for Best Picture, it's been nominated for Best Screenplay, it's been nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards, and that's great. So if you like the movie, that is the thing that matters most. This is just my opinion, and I know I'm in the minority, so it doesn't really matter what I'm going to say anyway, because the chances are if you're watching the review and you've seen the film, you probably like it quite a lot. And that is great. I don't want to take that away from you. In fact, I wish, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I wish I had that same experience. I've heard so many amazing things about this movie, and I was like, right, come on, it's potential Oscar contender, you know. That's what I was thinking before I saw the movie. It's like, it's potential Oscar contender, and now I'm about to go and see it. Hopefully it's going to be brilliant. And I came out the movie utterly disappointed. So underwhelmed. I can't remember. It's like, what? What was I meant to get from that? Because the film is so self-indulgent, and that's just exemplified in the film's title. It's Tar, and there's that weird bracket thing over the A in the title, so it's Tar when you think about it. That's the title of the film, it's Tar! And that doesn't mean anything, though, when you think about it. Like, imagine just a general moviegoer seeing that title on a movie poster. They're not going to know what it means. I mean, granted, you could say that about many other film posters. You could say that about Babylon as well, but the thing is, though, Babylon sounds enigmatic, you know, in a good way as well. It's one of those movies where, like, oh, Babylon, what's that about? I want to find out. Oh, I don't really know, but yeah, I want to see what that's about. I want to see why that film is called that. And also, if you look at some other films which have been nominated for Oscars this year, The Banshees of Inisherin, no one really knows what that means unless you've seen the film, but it's a brilliant title because it's enigmatic and it draws you in just from the title. The title just annoyed me. Honestly, I wasn't really looking forward to watching this movie too much before seeing it. In fact, if it wasn't getting all this awards buzz, I probably wouldn't have even saw it, because like, it's 2 hours and 37 minutes, and it drags on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Honestly, it could have been a short movie. It could have been a short film. It could have easily been a short film, because the best part of the film, in my opinion, is the last 45 minutes to an hour, because things were actually happening then. The plot was moving forward. Cate Blanchett's character started to get what she deserved. But at the same time, though, that last hour just made me realise, but the film could have been a short film, though. It didn't need to be 2 hours and 37 minutes, because the rest of that 2 hours or so, give or take, you know, it's just basically Cate Blanchett being mean to everybody. And I'm like, well, I get the point. I get it that she's full of herself. I get that she's egotistical. I get that she doesn't really care about anybody. I get that. But we don't need to see that happening for 2 hours and 37 minutes. We don't need to see that. You know, I've watched films about egotistical people in the past, and then usually well paced, and then usually, put alongside other characters. To look at J.K. Simmons' character in Whiplash, he is egotistical, and he's a narcissist, and he doesn't care about anybody but himself, and he is really, really mean to anybody. In fact, he's quite similar to Cate Blanchett's character in this film. But the thing is, on Whiplash, he is paired alongside Miles Teller's character, and that's what makes Whiplash work, because you have those two characters conflicting with one another. You don't really have that in Tar. I mean, there's a couple people who confront Cate Blanchett. In fact, my favourite scene in the film is when this one person who's worked for a while confronts her about how mean she's being. But that scene lasted for about 2 minutes in this 2-hour, 37-minute film. And, I got the point after a while that she was mean to everyone. I didn't need to see it keep happening. And there's barely any conflict, though. When there is conflict, it doesn't really feel like it's gone in too much. And a lot of it's nuanced, a lot of it's like, oh, look what we're doing here. Oh, making this quite a long scene. And then there's all these people out there going, oh, look how brilliantly Tar's directed. Martin Scorsese's come out recently and said, oh, wow, it lifted me out of the clouds or something like that. Tar, it was so brilliantly directed by Todd Field, and he got into the head of Cate Blanchett so well, and all that rubbish which I just didn't get. It was so self-indulgent, and yes, it's well shot, and yes, it's well made, and yes, Cate Blanchett is excellent in the film, and I'll get onto that a bit later in the review, but that wasn't enough for me. I never felt the film was compelling. I never felt the film was captivating enough, and everything was just so tedious, in my opinion. None of it was engrossing storytelling. None of it really captivated me. I wasn't taken by the story. I wasn't gripped by it. I just couldn't wait for it to end. I'm being completely honest here. I just really couldn't wait for it to end. And, no wonder it's getting nominated for Oscars. Because often in the past, there's been films that have been nominated for Oscars, and, I haven't understood them, and that's another instance here. And like I said before, the film does have perks. It's very well made. It's really well shot. I'm pretty sure it's been nominated for Best Cinematography, and I'm not surprised that it has been. There's one scene early in the film where Cate Blanchett's character, confronts a student about why he doesn't like Bark's work. And that's quite an interesting scene. Well, it could have been done better, but it's not a bad scene because of the way it's shot. It's all done in one long take. At least it's edited to seem like it is anyway. And there's a lot of that in the film, and the orchestra scenes work quite well. I mean, I'm going to be honest, the only reason I like the orchestral scenes is because I actually got to hear some music, and it felt like something was happening when she was conducting the orchestra. Cate Blanchett's performance in the film is a physical performance. It's like Austin Butler and Elvis. It's like the late, great Chadwick Boseman performance in Get On Up, the James Brown biopic. It's a physical performance. It isn't just her playing the character. She's performing that character, and Cate Blanchett plays Lydia Tarr, the protagonist of the film, amazingly. You know what? She'll probably win the Oscar. I'd personally give it to Michelle Yeoh for Everything Ever All at Once, because I think that's actually a bit of a better performance. I think it's more fun to watch. But I'm not going to be bothered if Cate Blanchett wins the Oscar for Tar. I'm not going to be bothered whatsoever. And on the topic of the Oscars, I should say here that as I'm doing this review right now, the Oscar results came out about half an hour ago, and I'll be doing my podcast on the Oscar nominations, which have been revealed now, sometime in the next couple of days. But back onto Tar. Yeah, the film has a lot of perks, and I can see why a lot of people love it. And I was watching this in a cinema full of people, and there was one guy that I looked at every now and then. He couldn't take his eyes from the screen, so I bet he really, really enjoyed it. And, I'm glad it's getting the love it is, because clearly I'm in the minority, and I'm fine about that. I'm honestly absolutely fine about it. I'm happy it's getting a lot of love, because I love it when people get something out of a movie which I didn't. You know what I mean? So, I'm happy about all that. I just found it absolutely interminable. I just couldn't take it. It went on and 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 on. And I know I've said that already, but that's how it felt for me. It felt so monotonous. It felt so repetitive. It just felt that it wouldn't ever end. And the pacing was just so slow. And I've watched films which have had slow pacing in the past, and I really liked them. The Green Knight, which came out last year, that film is slowly paced, but it is fascinating to watch. The storytelling in that film is just so brilliant. And then also recently, over the past couple of days, I watched the Garth Davis film Lion, which again is a slowly paced movie, but it is riveting at the same time, though. So I'm not just somebody who goes, well, the film is slowly paced and it's instantly boring. No. I've watched many slow-paced films in my time and really, really liked them. But I didn't like the pacing in Tar. Like I said before, it almost made me fall asleep. 3 times I almost fell asleep. 3 times. And also, Mark Strong's in the film, and he's really underused, because it's Mark Strong. If you have in your movie, use him more. And there's been all this stuff in the, in the press recently, in the news, about how Tar is anti-woke and it's anti-female, and I never thought it was, by the way. But in the end, it's not anti-woke. It's just a film about cancel culture. Cancel culture and wokeness, whatever that word really means, are 2 different things. And I'm not going to get into that, but this isn't a film about woke culture. And I think people who think it is a film about woke culture are just obsessed with woke culture in itself. And I hate everything to do with woke culture and let's destroy woke culture. It just really, really annoys me. So I'm not going to get into that. But it's a film about cancel culture, and that's fine. But the thing is, though, all the things that the film said about cancel culture is stuff I've heard said in the press anyway. It's nothing new. None of this film really went, oh yeah, I haven't thought about cancel culture like that before. It was stuff I'd already heard. And the film was almost like it was speaking down to me as well. It felt like I had to be at a certain intellectual level to understand the film. And if I wasn't, then I wouldn't get it. And guess what? I didn't get it. I didn't care about any of the characters, apart from Cate Blanchett's character, because there's Cate Blanchett playing her, and Cate Blanchett is a phenomenal actress, and she gives a phenomenal performance in the film, and she is the most compelling and captivating part of the movie. Everything else is just dull and drags and just a big slog, and I really, really, really didn't like it. But if you did, that's great. Sorry, I'm filming this review about 2 o'clock in the day right now, and I've been holding all these thoughts in, and I just couldn't wait to release them. It is so self-indulgent, and that is just proven by the title. If you're just a general moviegoer and you saw the title of this movie, you probably wouldn't be drawn to see it. At least, that's what I think anyway. Well, it's being nominated for Oscars, no surprise there. It'll probably win some Oscars as well. And I'm happy other people are liking it. I'm happy other people have got stuff from it. But, I know I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. I thought that Tar was a self-indulgent slog. And so for that reason, I'm going to say that it's a 3 out of 10. Like I said before, and I really want to reiterate this, because it is getting a lot of love, this movie, and that's great. Thumbs up for that. If you like this film, that's the thing that matters most. I'm just whining and complaining about a film I didn't like. And I don't have to like everything I see, and if we all like the same things, then it'd be boring talking about movies. This channel would... There'd be no point to this channel if I sat here on every single film I watched and went, you know what, I actually quite liked it. Or, you know what, that was pretty good. There's no point me doing that on every single film that I see. So just because I dislike the movie doesn't mean you will, or doesn't mean you should. It's just my opinion. And great, just get it out there. If you love the movie, that's the thing that matters most. I know I said it before, but I'm going to say it again because I don't want people getting mad at me, because I know this film is getting a lot of love. Great. But the reason I gave it a 3 out of 10 is because I found it really sluggish. I couldn't wait for it to end. Honestly, I was halfway through the film, and I was just sat there thinking, one day this film will end. And the annoying thing was as well, I had to travel an hour to go and see it. I had to travel an hour away from where I usually go to the cinema to see this film, because it wasn't shown at my local cinema. I was like, well, I'll go and travel to see it because again, all this awards buzz and I want to see what the fuss is all about. And honestly, I don't get what the fuss is all about. I don't. It's not awfully made. In fact, it's very well made, like I said before. But I didn't find anything compelling. I didn't find anything captivating in the movie, with the exception of Cate Blanchett's performance. But it's Cate Blanchett, what do you expect? She's one of the best actors working today. And also, I didn't really care about anything going on in the film. And because I didn't care about anything going on in the film, I didn't care about any of the plot twists, so any of the place that the plot went later on. And also, I know I said before in the review that the last 40 minutes is actually pretty good, it's the best part of the film. But then when I think about it, the last 10 to 15 to maybe 20 minutes, basically not to give too much away, but Cate Blanchett's character goes to another country. And that section of the film I didn't get whatsoever. And it's just another exemplification that this film was talking down to me. It didn't have storytelling which I thought was accessible. Instead, it felt like its storytelling was like, you know, we're only doing this to people who are at a certain intellectual level, and if you're not going to get this movie, so you can actually walk out the cinema right now. And that's what I should have done. In fact, I would have walked out the cinema watching the film yesterday, but it was a cinema that I don't usually go to, so I had to pay a tenner to go into the cinema. And I thought, you know what, I'm not going to waste my money. You know, everyone's money's tight right now. I don't want to waste money. I want to see this film the full way through, because maybe it might pick up as well. I watched films in the past, but they got better and better and better, and they start off okay, or not that good, and by the end of the movie, they're going, this is genius. Didn't have that with Tar, though, but at the same time, though, I thought, about 20 minutes in, you know what, no, I'll wait out. I spent 10 quid to get in here. Let's see where this film goes. Hopefully it picks up for me, and you know what, maybe I'll like it. Didn't end up liking it, but I wanted to see it the full way through. But I always kind of wish, actually, looking back at it, that I walked out the cinema. I wish I went to go and see Avatar: The Way of Water instead, because even so, Avatar: The Way of Water is half an hour longer. That is a far better movie, in my opinion. Anyway, I've rambled on way too much. I'm trying to think of anything I've forgotten. Also, I'm going to ramble on a bit more because I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that I saw this film. So you know what? I'm going to get all my anger out. I don't care if this review's going on too long. I don't care. I'm going to get some couple things off my chest as well. Basically, you get these opening credits at the start of the film, and it is literally like the closing credits. I don't like the closing credits, but at the same time, though, during the opening credits, first of all, the opening credits go on for about 10 minutes, at least it felt it did anyway, but at the same time though, the opening credits, you have this really annoying vocal sound going in the background, and then it cuts to something else with Cate Blanchett's character, and you're like, what has that got anything to do with the vocal sound? I thought there could be some link there, and there wasn't. Also, Cate Blanchett's character is so unlikable in the film, and it was hard to watch her keep going through the same thing over and over again. I get that she was an unlikable person. I get that. But I don't need to see a 2 hour and 37-minute movie focusing on her character. Great performances. Don't need to see that character focused on for almost 3 hours. Also, a lot of the film feels like it borrows from Whiplash. And I'm not going to get into details there in case you haven't seen the film yet. But a lot of it feels like it borrows from Whiplash. And there's about, 2/3 of the way through the film, I sat there and thought, God, I would much rather be watching Whiplash right now. That is such a better film. So much tighter, so much more intense. And by the end of the movie, I literally couldn't wait to go out to the cinema. I just really didn't like it. Just being completely and utterly honest. It wasn't for me. And it was just so self-indulgent. I know these people are saying it's an amazing movie, and that's great if you think that. But personally, I don't get it. I just don't get it. There you go. And I know I said it before, but I'm going to say it again because it completely sums up my opinion of this film. I just found Tar, or Tar should I say, to be a self-indulgent slog. And so for that reason, I'm going to say that Tar, I'm going to say that it's a 3 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of Tar? Maybe you enjoyed it more than me, and if you did, that's great. Please let me know in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this video, and look forward to many more both film and TV reviews and podcasts coming very, very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now, bye!